Hello. I know I missed last week, but we're back this week with what we were supposed to do last week that I forgot. Well, I didn't forget about it, I just didn't feel like doing it. We're back with our little water leaper. He turned out pretty well after I baked him in the oven. I've already done a base coat of brown on him. But as you can see, he stands up on his own. The little tail thing that we did with the frame worked out really well. A little bit later today just because I got a late start on doing the base coat and I wanted to let it dry before we started painting too much. And I was scared that the black might be a little too dark, so we went for more of a green color. But overall, he did turn out quite well. One of his fangs got a little curved, so I had to shave it down here on the left. But he turned out pretty good, I think. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start painting him. Most of the colors are greens and yellows, so we're going to go for that. I may use some metallic paints because I like the effect that gives. But yeah, I wanted to use the brown since it is that kind of earth tones kind of color palette. I wanted to have that effect, so that's why I did a brown base. I think the black would have been too dark. Well, yeah, I usually do, excuse me, I usually do the base coats beforehand just because I think on the earlier recorded videos, I did them on the video and it was kind of boring and took up about a third of it. And I run out of stuff to say, and I think watching me paint a solid color is incredibly boring. So I just decided to not do that. And the base coats are important just because they add a bit of a tone to it, and any of the parts that I don't fully paint, instead of seeing the pink of the clay, which that works okay when you're doing like skin tones or maybe fruits or certain things that have that color. With stuff like this, it looks odd. It looks noticeably unpainted, so having the brown makes it a little bit more, makes it look more natural because it matches the rest of the colors. And because I like doing dry brushing, it's very important to have layers of colors. Now he is quite a bit brighter than he currently looks. This camera always really darkens it a bit, so like I added a second light here, and that definitely helps because I think if I turn that light off, it gets worse. So the light definitely helps, but he is a lighter green. You can see it when I move it closer to the camera. He's a lighter green than he appears from a distance. Everything on this particular video always looks a little darker than usual. I keep thinking it's a lighting issue, but it may actually be a camera issue. And I know that when I was reading the mythology about this, my imagination with these is that they're this size and they're like there's tons of them and like swarms and stuff over marshes and things. But when I looked it up, they're apparently giant. I think I said that in the last video. And I was a little disappointed because I really like the idea of them being almost bat-like and just existing in swarms and swarming animals. That was kind of what I imagined. And I kind of like that idea. But the actual mythology, they apparently consume sheep, so they're quite large. Quite large. I don't know, I just imagine them as these little tiny things that, you know, pop up out of the water and jump across the water, hence their name, water leaper. Which that is accurate, but apparently they're just quite larger than I thought. Which is somewhat disappointing. I really like the idea of these being little tiny things that swarm you. Somehow that's scarier than a giant leaping frog with no legs. I will probably do another West Virginia cryptid. I enjoy doing those because I am from West Virginia. But I'm thinking about doing the grafted monster, but I haven't decided yet. We'll see. It's got much less description to go off of and a lot more popular media, I guess would be the term. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do the grafted monster or not. We'll see. Hopefully you cannot hear the sirens outside. Alright. And I think we will paint the scaling, maybe a slightly, each individual scale a slightly different color, because we'll go over this again with a lighter green, and then I think I'll go over each scale with my like lime colored metallic paint just a little bit to give it a bit of a glossy, almost a bit of a glossy sheen. And then I'll see, I'm considering, because they do kind of leap out of the water, I was considering using some shall we say, what's the word I'm looking for? Some water effects with resin, because I do have some UV cured light resin. But I don't know. We'll see if I'm going to do that or not. Alright, we're almost done with the first bit of green here. Oh, but I gotta do the wings too, I almost forgot. I'm stupid, I don't know why I think of that. And I need to stay closer to the mic. I keep forgetting that my mic exists. And that I talk way too softly. I may get, I don't have an arm for the mic right now. I may actually get a flexible arm so I can pull it closer to my head, which will hopefully improve the quality because I don't talk loud enough. All right. Yeah, come here. There we go. Too much paint. Yeah, and I'm not sure what color I'm going to do the stinger yet. Haven't decided. I may pull up some images of scorpions. But, alright. So we've got the basis here for that. So we should go ahead and do parts of the wings. The middle pieces of the wings will be more of a yellowish tone. I did have a little bit of a problem with the wings. I know I was having it when I sculpted it as well, that they didn't quite want to hang on to their frame. They wanted to fall off of the frame, which happens a lot, but I fixed it with a little bit of UV resin, so it'll hold up, and it's a little messy, so you can kind of see where I had to fix it, but it's not too bad. You can see the progress we're making. Let me hold them up in the light better. All right. All right, let's do the back here. Wonder if I bring the light down more, does that help any? Because up here it's pretty good. Let me... Is that any better? No, it feels like it's about the same, to be honest. Oh well. Yeah, when I held it up close, you can see the colors more accurately. I don't know. I'll work on that again. I'm still trying to improve the setup, as always. I don't really know what I'm doing, so I just play with things until I figure them out. I watch so many people stream and do other stuff, and they seem like, some of them seem so professional. It's such a relief when I see people who don't know what they're doing, because then I feel better about myself, because I have no clue how anything works. I learn by just toying with things until they look vaguely correct. But I'll just try to hold him up toward the camera. He's smaller, so I can do that. Alright, almost done with this green. And if you'll notice, I'm not very precise with the early painting sections, because it's actually, it almost looks better if the colors blend a bit. So I sort of do them very roughly and very messily. But as I progress with the layers of colors, I will get more and more specific, a little bit more detailed. So I know I'm being super messy with the wings and they look a little bit iffy right now, but they will look a lot better once I get more detail. This is just earlier messy coats, and then we get more specific as we go. More precise, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. Alright, so we're done with this color for now. Now I think let's not use that one. Let's use this yellow. Don't think we're quite ready for the yellow yet. we'll use the lighter green. You can kind of see the difference in the colors here. And yes, I use very cheap paints. I am thinking about getting slightly higher quality orange and whites and stuff because for some reason they always look really bad compared to the other colors. I'm not sure why. But the whites in this particular brand always a bit pasty and they tend to harden way too quickly and not last very long. Or maybe I just got a bad batch of a bunch of them. But the other paints like the greens and stuff are great. So I don't know. I've thought about trying to get nicer paints, but then I don't know if it's really worth it. I don't know if there's enough of a difference to really be noticeable other than maybe a couple of the pigments. Namely, I want to see if the white colors are better. Or if it's just the way that acrylic white works. But I might just need to buy some more paint because it might just be that the paint's old, you know. I don't know if you can see the details we're adding. Yeah, it makes me sad that the camera can't always pick up the textures and the faint colors. Like usually you can a little bit, but it's not nearly as detailed as it is in person, mostly because it just feels like the light is no, that makes it worse. It definitely needs to be over and above. Let me try something here. Oh well. I might get another light or try to improve it a bit. The other issue is there's no daylight really here, partially because it's at night and also because I have blackout curtains. Because as a night shifter, I cannot sleep during the night, so I sleep during the morning. And that really reduces the light in my room, which is a good thing most of the time, but kind of bad for this. But yeah, it's also late at night. It's dark outside, so that doesn't help. Hold on 1 second. Oh, sorry about that. Someone was messaging me. All right. Yeah, I think you can see it now, the coloration difference by adding that extra color or extra light color, because I usually just start with darks and then gradually get lighter. That's why I made the skin ever so slightly bubbled. just so that when I do this, there's actually texture for it to pick up on. So we'll go ahead and do a bit on the tail and down here, and then we'll work on the wings and the underbelly, which are going to be the same color, a greenish yellow. So we'll probably start with the yellow over the brown, and then we'll do a slight green on top of that. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I like doing dry brushing just because it allows me to be a little messy, and it's more focused on how much detail I did in the sculpt. I'm not sure what color I'm going to do the little claw hands or the little horns. Some of the images didn't have horns, but I thought it was a little boring if he didn't have any. Oops, that was too much paint. If I can blend it out a bit. Outline the eyes a little better here. And then make the front of the mouth a little brighter. And usually as I dry brush the lighter colors on, I will intentionally do lighter tones on any part of the body that sticks out. So like the front of the nose, the lip, the eyebrows, and that adds a lot of texture and depth pretty easily without a lot of specific detail. You can kind of see, you can see a little of the color variation. Again, it doesn't show up terribly well on this camera as it does in person. Alright, so I think we've got enough of that for now. Let's try switching to our yellow and doing some yellow tones. Oops, I think this might be separating. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, that is very liquidy. I don't know, I mixed it back together. Let's see if this is even usable. If not, I might have to grab one of my other paints. Oh, it's usable. It's fine. It'll be fine. It's very watery though. It's old. A lot of my paints are getting a bit old. I might need to get some more. As much as I use, I wouldn't think that would happen, but it does. Alright. And I think I'll do a gradually lightening like at the base here, so we'll do the darker at top, and then it'll get gradually lighter as we go down. But this is just the first coat. Alright, we'll do this here, the underside. Alright, and I guess I should do the back of this wing first, and then progress to too much paint. I like painting in thin layers. This is too much paint. Oh well, we're getting to that color, so it's fine. I think it looks better if you layer it slowly rather than doing a ton of color all at once. It also dries faster, and I'm impatient. For some reason, like, I'm really patient with some things, but paint drying is not something I am patient with. Because usually if I'm working on a model, I want it to dry immediately so I can do the next coat or the next piece, and I hate waiting. I have gotten like a heat gun out before and dried the paint manually with the heat gun because I wanted to keep painting. I don't actually know if that causes any long-term effects, like if it would make the paint more likely to crack or something. I've never really noticed, but I have done it many times. It's probably a bad idea, but I don't know. It worked. Yeah, and that's the one I had to fix, which is why it's a little messy up here. But it's not horrible, so... Yeah, I honestly don't know if the higher end paints actually make that much of a difference. I feel like testing it out, because like I know with clays I'm very picky about what brands I use. I mean, ultimately I'm using my second or third favorite just because it's cheaper. But there's certain brands I just can't use at all because I've tried and they just don't work with me. Yeah. Let's flip it over. We'll do this side. But yeah, I don't actually know if there's that much of a difference in the paint. It's something I keep meaning to research and I have not really looked into. I also really, I think for, I don't know if it'll be my next sculpture because I really wanted to do another cryptid because those tend to be ones that, at least on TikTok, people are more interested in. But I also really just wanted to sculpt. I've been on a kick about steampunk and robots and stuff, cute little mechanical things and designs, and I really kind of wanted to sculpt like some sort of little robot guy. I had a design I did for a dice that's still on the shop as of now, that it's one of my favorites. It's a little robot with a flower and nobody's looked at it, so I keep I keep wanting to, like, you know, just keep it for myself because nobody's bought it. I'm like, maybe I should just keep them. But I love the little steampunk style robots, like the slightly rusted old steampunk and Gaslamp fantasy I'm very fond of, although I don't do a whole lot with it, to be honest. But I really want to do maybe some little robot figurines too, because I think that would be fun. Yeah, the problem with this paint being watery is that you see your brush strokes so much more. But as we layer it, that'll get milder and milder. And I can also do this where I just spin in circles, and that makes it a little less noticeable. Alright, but we need to do the belly first. And this we can do a little more thicker, a little more thickly, if I can grammar properly today. And again, we're doing super messy light coat because we're going to keep going over this with other colors. I keep forgetting to check to see if my internet's holding out. I haven't contacted anyone about the issues I've been having yet. As soon as I resolve them, I will attempt to do TikTok and YouTube again at the same time, but I don't know if it'll let me. I don't know if it can handle it. All right, a little bit more base of the can see where we're going with this. We're getting a lot more texture and color. I'll give the camera a second to focus. But yeah, still a bit messy, but we're getting there. You can kind of see the texture that's being brought out on the forehead now with the dry brushing. Alright, let me go back to painting. The only thing awkward about this is it's very difficult to paint on the edges here. Let me brace it on my hand here. I'm wondering if we should do some orange tones in here as well, or if that would be too much. I kind of want to, because orange and yellow and green kind of pair well for this. At least I think they do, but I don't know. And I don't mean a ton, I just mean a little bit. Alright. Flip it over in my hand. There we go. Almost finished with the yellow. Or at least the first layer of yellow. Although I might do some more highlighting on the back here. One of the funny things when I was reading about this particular cryptid was that, you know, in addition to all the different stories, they listed that it's occasionally blamed for things like broken fishing lines and stuff like that. And it always makes me, you know, laugh whenever you read about, I guess it's technically not a cryptid, it's more of a mythological creature. Although I don't know if there's a distinction between the two, to be honest. But they always get blamed for the randomness sort of misfortune. And I find it's very similar with superstition. We have a tendency to blame anything bad that happens on inexplicable forces, and I find it very funny. It's a very interesting human tendency when there's plenty of normal explanations. It's like when I was reading about, I think it was Mothman. There was one particular account that a guy had blamed like the death of his dog, which I'm like, okay, maybe depending on how it happened, you know, maybe it's something odd that they couldn't explain. But then he blamed also TV static on Mothman and something else random. And I was just like, oh, I didn't know that that was one of the things he did. But this one, it's like, I guess fishing line makes sense because it does, I think, live in the water. I saw that it leapt across the water with its wings. I didn't see a whole lot of it, so I'm assuming it lives in the water and not just there, you know. But it's always funny to see how we tend to blame things that we don't understand, or small misfortunes that could be easily explained, or our bad luck, we want to blame it on something. And I find it very funny when you see like cryptids or fantasy type creatures in mythology. They always get blamed for everything bad that happens. They get blamed for all sorts of misfortune. When in reality, there's probably a very simple explanation. And I mean, we don't even just do that with mythological creatures. I think we actually do it with everything. We like to point the blame at someone or something very specific. I don't know why. I guess that's because we have an explanation for it and it makes us feel better about it, maybe? I'm not sure why that's the human tendency. We don't like to have things, bad things, without an explanation. The idea that we don't know why something happened is apparently more unpleasant than thinking that random horrible creatures exist. Some of it might be just like our tendency to be afraid of something, but I don't know. It's just very odd. I find it fascinating. Alright, I am going to do a little bit of yellow here at the top, just to further highlight these scales that I did, the little scales and warts in the skin that's a little bit bubbly. Yeah, let me see what happens if we do a little bit of orange. I'm very curious. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I wanna see. If I do a little bit of orange, like on the edges, just a little bit. So I kind of like. I think we need some more color here. Yeah, I think I do like that. Not a ton, just enough to give it some more depth. And any spot that might be a little darker, we'll do with some orange. I don't know if you can see the tone color there. Yeah. Good, the camera does show that a bit, so you can see that. I said fairly faint. It actually looks more distinct on the camera here than it does in person. It's so weird to me how that works. Blend it a little better. There we go. And then I might go over it with the yellow a little bit to make it milder. He's looking pretty good here. Let's see, how far are we into this? We're about an hour into this. That makes sense. It's probably going to take about an hour and a half, 2 hours to finish. So it's a pretty decent estimate. We're making good time. A little bit of orange here. And I think I'm going to go back over the raised pieces on the wings here. I just kind of want to do the orange a bit more on each wing to add some depth to the color. And then I can't forget about the stinger. Gotta figure out, and my hand's cramping up. Ow. Okay. Okay, and then we'll do the back a little bit. Be careful not to put too much pressure on it. I don't want to break the tail. I am pleased that he stood up so well on his own. I was very concerned when I was baking him that he was just going to fall over or topple very easily. But he's got a pretty solid base, so... His chest is now very orange. Ugh. Let me grab the lighter yellow here. We'll put this brush away. We'll grab a new brush and start with this. Okay. All right. There we go. The wings look a lot better now. We're gonna touch up that because that's a little messy still, but and I think I will go over this with a very faint gold. And when I do that, you're not really going to see the gold too much. You're just going to see a little bit of a metallic hazing, if you will, or hazing's probably not the right word. Glazing? I don't know. A thin color that's like a haze is what I'm going for. Yeah, hazing was not the right word. That means something totally different. But yeah, you'll just see a little bit of it. There we go. We're getting some good detail there, I think. Yeah, I'm still not sure about the scorpion tail. Okay. My hand is cramping so badly. All right. We're gonna do some faint. Not that one. Hold on. Okay. We're gonna do some faint gold. See how that just made it super shiny? Yeah, that's the effect I wanted. Smooths it out a bit, makes it super shiny. You can still see most of the colors underneath. And then we'll do a little bit on the end of each of the wings. So it all has a bit of a shiny color to it. Yeah, the wings were a little rough. I didn't do a great job on sculpting those. Sometimes I get very tired mid-sculpture and I just want to stop. So that tends to be why I prematurely stop on certain things and just go, well, that's good enough, and, you know, it's fine. It's not terrible, but I could definitely have done a slightly better job on that. Uh-oh, looks like we're dropping frames really badly. Hold up. We're still connected, though. No, it's still going, but it looks like I'm having some... Hopefully it's okay. I'll keep checking it. We were doing so great, but my internet's got its scheduled let's randomly fail time, so... Which is, for some reason, always right around the time I want to stream. But I don't really have time on any other day other than maybe Saturday, but I can only do certain Saturdays. And I work most of the other times, so I am napping before work every other time. Okay, so we have our shiny gold sheen on top of the wings and the tummy now. Let the camera focus, you can see that. Alright, let's put that brush away. Alright, let's get some metallic green here, and I think we're gonna do the scales a bit. Is that noticeably different? It is, okay. Just gonna lightly go over the scales. There you go, we can see where we're getting with our scales there. Alright, let's balance him a bit here. Keep doing more scales. This one's not too bad. I have done a figurine entirely coated in scales like this, and I really regretted it. Usually about 40 scales in, you're like, you know, this is really horrible. Why did I do this to myself? But it looks so cool when you're done. Yeah, this one was minor, so it wasn't that bad, comparatively. I once painted a ton of scales on a pair of leggings for a costume, one by one, and then I shaded and painted each scale, It was horrible. I don't know why I did that. I think I was only about 1/4 of the way through before I was like, why? Why am I doing this? This was a terrible idea. I have a great deal of patience, but with this kind of stuff, not with paint drying, but with detail work. With certain things, do try it a little bit. It's a little harder when I'm recording just because I'm more conscious of the time. We're still dropping frames, but the thing's still up, so that's good. But I'm so much more conscious of the time that I'm always concerned. There we go. And you can kind of see there. Let's let the camera focus a little bit. That's pretty cool looking. I like that. Alright, so now we got to paint the fangs, which are probably going to be white. I might do them I think I'll do a slight beige first, and then we'll highlight in white a little bit. Okay. Well, this I do have to actually be careful with. Alright, so we have the one fang with its initial brown color. Beige, sad beige. I always refer to this color as the sad beige color, because it's the one that all the Ashleys with the live, laugh, love signs like to paint their houses. White and sad beige. I like color personally. Lots of color, like coordinated color, not crazy wild, disco stuff, but I like deep, dark reds and purples and mostly reds and more reds, and I'm painting way too much of my house red. Which every time you tell people you're doing that, they're always like, oh my goodness, you'll never sleep, and then they see it and they're like, oh, that actually looks good. Alright. Okay, almost done here. Almost, not quite. Okay. Just got to do this other little horn here. We're almost finished with that. And then we'll touch up, too much paint, too much paint. we'll touch up the wings. And then I think I should do the little grabby talon at the top here also. Just the tip of it, that color. Video's still up, but we are dropping frames, so I will have to see if the quality's okay. If not, I do have it recording as well, so I can always upload the recording if need be. Alright, so we have that done. I think... Let me see here. I do think I want to do a slightly metallic paint on the wings here. Kind of touch up the details a bit. And where we accidentally got other colors on it. There we go. Oh no. There we go. There we go. You can see it's a little neater now. Alright, we're going to go this side now. We're going to do the same thing, but on this side. And I am actively trying to do a little better with holding the stuff in front of the camera. I have a really bad habit of pulling it in front of my eyes, because I am a little bit nearsighted, and I just like to work back here and then you can't see anything. So I am like leaning forward. Almost finished. Not quite. Almost. Oh, whoops, I forgot to check this angle. One of the things you have to do when you're painting something 3D is hold it from every angle, because you'll suddenly realize that you missed something. Here we go. Oops. Alright. It's a little messy there. Now let's see, we can hold him like this. And do it this direction. Almost there. Just 2 more little spots. Got this one. Alright, so we've done that now. I'm gonna set him down. Let me pick a different brush here so I can reuse one of. Nah. I'll grab a clean one. Nope. Nope, not that one. This one. Alright, and I will grab my white paint here. And we're gonna add a little bit more color to these fangs. Oops, I just touched the paint that's wet. I'm so dumb. Let me water it down a little bit. Yeah, it feels like the white's either too thick or too thin, and I don't know why. I think maybe the paint's old and it just keeps separating. But I have more trouble with the white than the other pigments, and I'm wondering if it's something to do with whatever stuff they have to use to get the white pigment. Because sometimes there's weird things with that. Like in mica powders, for example, for some reason it's extremely difficult to get a true red in mica powders. Because all the ones that purport to be a true red are really like a pink tone. It's been one of my long-standing frustrations. You can get the alcohol ink dyes in a real like blood red color, but all of the other ones, you add them to the mica or the resin, sorry, and they turn out pink. Now sometimes I think soaps and other things you might add mica powder to react to the colors differently, and those will often show up more red. But resin, it is so hard to find a genuine red mica powder. So I always end up mixing it with the alcohol ink dyes if I'm trying to do a solid and not a clear red. There we go. He's got fangs now. Okay, so let me double check what his little stinger should look like. Most of them are roughly the same color. Some of them don't even have the stinger, but most of them do. Some of them are black. Okay, so we might do, I don't know if I want to go for a full on black, maybe, well, let me see, is this the same color brown? Okay, we're going to do a darker brown, and then maybe fade into green a little bit, or metallic color a bit, because it should be a different color. And I did make the stinger a little chunky. I should probably not have done that. But I was interested in trying to make the statue very sturdy, because I've had issues with my figurines being very wobbly lately. Mostly because I'm stupid and I say every single video and every single time that I should have made a, whatchamacallit, base. A wire frame. And I don't. I always don't do it. This one I did for once and it went way better because I did. Someday we'll learn my lesson, but I was trying to make him very structurally sound, and that's why I made the little tail end so chunky, which in retrospect was probably not the best idea. Maybe if we do a gold, I think a gold might be nice. Mix in a bit of a gold color, because that will tie in with the tones there but still be somewhat different. Let me think, because that's kind of boring. We need maybe a black tip on it. Let's see how that looks. Oops, let me get my messy things out of the way here. Adding a little shading here and there. It's still very wet, which is why the black is looking like a gray rather than a black. That's fine because it let me blend a bit better. Come here, more black paint. There we go. Okay, now we can blend this part of it. There we go. Alright, and then I think we may add some yellow, some lighter yellow to the stinger. And then we're going to clean up his eyes a little bit, and then we should be finished. Alright, let me... Alright. Now let's clean up his eyes. Let's clean up this eye. Alright, I think our little water leaper is done. Or I think it's Llamhigyn or something like that. Llamhigyn. I looked up the pronunciation, but I couldn't find it too much. So, water leaper. Easy enough. This is what he looks like. I think we did pretty well on him. I will have to stop here. He's mostly done. I mean, I could touch him up a bit more in a few spots, but my internet is starting to die, so I should probably stop. And I think he's pretty good for now. I think that's pretty good. So yeah, if you watch this, as always, I greatly appreciate it. I will be doing a shortened 1-minute version as I usually do. If I can ever figure out my internet problems, I will start streaming on TikTok again. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to like TikTok very much. But if you watched all of this, I appreciate it. I take suggestions. Please give me suggestions on what you think I should make next. I love reading news stories too, so if it's something unusual. Obviously, I avoid stuff that's copyrighted and such, but classic mythology, traditional stories, stuff like that. I really enjoy making them. I don't know if I'm looking into some other things. I don't know if SCP has copyright things that could potentially be a problem. I don't think it is, because I'm not even really selling these, so I don't know. I'll have to research a bit more because there's some stuff that I'm going to be doing that's from some fandom things that I want to do. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and if you interact in some way, it does help me quite a bit, and I do greatly appreciate it. And I will be back with more videos on something. I don't know what yet, but we'll see. Anyway, goodbye for now.